game here, we're going to have stream regular Chad on the right side. He's going to be playing the TIE Phantom with the new cloak rules. Anyone who doesn't know already, if you haven't seen the new FAQ, the Phantom was rebalanced. I'm not going to say nerf, I'm going to say rebalanced so that your Decloak barrel roll or boost happens at the beginning of the combat phase, as opposed to upon your activation.
So that's close, but no cigar there. It's not at the beginning of the combat phase, because that would actually be even more broken.
Did I say combat phase?
Yes, you did.
Activation phase.
Right, so they're going to start decloaking at the beginning of the activation phase in pilot skill order, in case there are any instances of multiple phantoms, or if both players have them especially. It's a big change because it takes away a lot of the adjustment that the phantoms had sort of built into them. You can't look at the field as your initiative order comes up and say, okay, he moved over here, that means if I decloak to the right and then do my planned one hard, then I'm going to get a beautiful shot uncontested. You're going to have to make those decisions early on. You're going to have to decide in advance, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm committing to it. It's my only option. On the other hand, it's going to be a lot harder to block phantoms in. You're going to have to find a way to block all of their decloak options on the previous turn after they've already finished their movement, which is going to be really hard to do. So it's going to keep them from getting boxed in quite as easily. It also gives them the ability to decloak when they're ionized, which currently, under the old rules, doesn't work. Because the decloak was tied to the revealing of the maneuver dial, and when you're ionized, you don't get a maneuver dial. So that's something that frustrated me very early on with the Phantoms, is anytime you'd run up against a control list, it would inevitably be that one ion hit that would sneak through, and now suddenly you float forward, you're sitting still, and the opponent knows exactly where you're going to be that next turn, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't even shoot.
It's an interesting thing. Like, I wouldn't say it's so much as a nerf as just a change, because it's still really good, even especially with advanced cloaking device. But it changes the strategy of the Phantom, and it means you have to guess, like with other X-wing ships. But it made the low pilot skill ships even better, I think.
Right. So that's another aspect to this, is it makes the Phantoms actually really good themselves at blocking. Because if you can guess when somebody's going to try to K-turn to get behind you, suddenly you can decloak in their way before they get an opportunity to do that. You can force them to bump into you, then you do your movement. And especially the lower pilot skill guys like the Shadow Squadron and the Sigma Squadron, they love this change. This is a benefit for them, because they never got to see the board anyway. They never knew where the opponent was going to be. They just wanted to be set up where they were headed. And this helps them out even more. You know, if you're really crafty about it, you can actually block 2 enemy ships per turn with this.
You can block, and then you can move to block.
Right, and a player that gets really good with that will end up being really, really, really annoying to the opponent. I don't know that it's going to be as bad as trying to catch the shifty versions of Whisper and Echo, but it still gives you a very, very viable use for the Phantoms. So this will be an interesting match, though, because our buddy Chad here is using Echo, so he's using the high pilot skill version with the change. So it's not so much that he gets that extra block in there as he's really having to fully commit to it. And one thing you see on him that you may not see on Whisper and Echo in the future is he's still running Veteran Instincts on him. Part of that is because he's got the advanced cloaking device and he wants to be able to still shoot first and be able to recloak. But I think a big part of why this change was put into place is the only way you saw Phantoms in 90% of the matches where they appeared was with Veteran Instincts and the advanced cloaking device. so that they could decloak so late, then shoot late, recloak, and do the whole thing all over again next turn. With the changes that are in place now, where you have to commit ahead of time and you're not quite as adjustable, you can't quite correct to what the opponent has done so much, you might see people taking other elite talents on there and not necessarily rolling veteran instincts every time. You might see people taking more of the Stygium particle accelerators because they're not running veteran instincts, and just giving some variety to how you see them on the table instead of the same one or two builds every time.
And that's the developers love it when we make their ships versatile, and maybe it was annoying them. It's just like, and I'm going to say it again. It's not. I don't think it's as big a nerf as people are saying. It just changes it, and it makes it. It's a different ship now, and it's more predictive and less reactive, like other ships in the game. But you. I'm finding it hard to really describe my opinion. Maybe it'll come to me.
Well, one thing that I saw brought up as a frequent argument this week that I absolutely love this concept is that the changes don't do a whole lot to lower the ceiling on the skill level of what you can do with a Phantom. You can still do the same nasty maneuvers that you could do before, where you're showing up in a completely unexpected part of the map. He's still rolling 4 attack dice, 5 at range 1. It's still got a lot of punch, and it can still dart around the board at its pleasure, but it removes some of the insanely low floor to the skill. You actually have to be able to outthink the opponent again. You actually have to plan in advance, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get out of this situation? What's the opponent going to do? You can't just set your dial to a hard turn and wait and see what the board looks like and say, oh, okay, well, here's the obvious choice.
Okay, waiting on Chad to get his last couple of ships on the table. Ride Up. Chad is a really great custom painter. In fact, I'm gonna get him to hold one up to the camera a little bit closer before he puts it on the table.
Right. So you think you love those Royal Guard ties? Wait till you see his Phantom.
Turn him slowly. Here we go. As his TIE fighters are really cool because they're red, but I love that he has that partial Empire emblem on the solar panels. And the Phantom actually has the same thing, but it also, in addition to that, it also has like the beginning of the cloaking shroud that you see on other people. So that's Chad is a really great custom painter. And in fact, we've given away at our store championship. We gave away ships custom painted by Chad himself. I'm not seeing. Oh, here it is. I'll put 2 as help. And then as soon as I get the dials down, I will throw up a game timer. We don't really time games, but we do kind of keep track of how long they're going for. Here we go.
All right, so Chad's running scared. Literally, he just ran away from the table.
Yeah, he tends to do that a lot, and it's kind of, he doesn't care about his adoring public.
Ready when you guys
Nice friendly shake-off there at the top of the match, and here we go. Academy pilots are taking a 5 straight ahead.
You know, after this last game, I forgot that the 5 maneuver actually existed in X-Wing.
Just going 1 straight. Oh, your opponent turned? All right, I'm going to take a 1 bank. No reason to go too fast. You might hurt yourself. But these academies are fresh out of school. They're not afraid of anything. Interesting list here from Dan. He first of all, it's the first time he's been on the stream, but he's a local guy who has in the past had a lot of mileage from Roark Garnet. If you don't know what Roark Garnet's ability does, he's a hawk that lets a ship at range 1 to 3 fire at pilot skill 12. So we're going to see at least one of these B-wings always fire first. Followed by Echo, then or likely Echo, then Howl Runner, and then down the list. Blue squads are taking a nice leisurely 2 forward. Don't need to be too aggressive in the first turn here.
Right. So going back to Garnet, that's actually going to be a huge boon for him having the B-wings able to shoot at PS12, because that gets you in front of Echo. So
before advanced cloaking device.
Right. So we're still seeing some of the residual effects of the pilot skill wars here. I don't know that it was necessarily intended to go phantom hunting, but a lot of people do. A lot of people are putting in things into their lists today that are specifically done to go after phantoms. You know, our previous game featured Brendan, who absolutely loves his triple X-Wing lists, but the reason that they were built the way they were is so that they could all fire before a phantom could recloak.
The very first the first time he was on the stream, and in fact it might have been the first time you were too, James. You did your Carnor Jackson 2 Sigmas, and then he had 3 pilot skill 10, or it was 2 pilot skill 10s and 1 pilot skill 11 my words are all confused. X-wings, and he designed it to lay out the stress on those high pilot skill phantoms so they can ACD. The advanced cloaking device is helpful because first of all, it gives you that 4 evade that's so useful from having a cloak token, but if you can stress them out, it robs their really good agility.
Right, and it's agility not only in the dice sense, but also in the maneuver sense.
Maneuvering is what exactly. You corrected me exactly what I was trying to say. And we're going to start to see a new Phantom. It's been out almost a year now, but it's going to be not a completely different ship, but the strategy behind the Phantom is going to be very different, and we're demoing that here for you tonight. It's interesting though, in the new FAQ, the Phantom rules don't actually go into effect for another 2 weeks, and that was probably just to let Store Championship season roll out before they made such a major change.
So, Rydub is pointing out in our chat that he likes to change swarm tactics with Roark. One of the more lethal lists for Phantoms that I've had the misfortune of running into was Roark along with 3 Green Squadron pilots, all rolling with swarm tactics. So Roark goes through and says, okay, which one of these A-Wings is furthest away from me? That one becomes PS-12. Then that one triggers swarm tactics, hands it to the next A-Wing, which hands it to the next A-Wing, to hand it back to Roark, so the whole squadron is firing at PS-12. If that catches you by surprise, it hurts.
It costs a lot of points, but it can be really good.
And again, that's one of those artifacts of the pilot skill bid, that everybody was going higher and higher just to make sure that they were in front of the Phantoms, and then everybody else had to bring high pilot skills to keep up with that. And what a lot of people are kind of expecting to see as a result of this change to the Phantom is that players start bringing more generic ships, or if not generics, at least the lower pilot skill named pilots, because you don't necessarily have to have a PS9 to be competitive.
And that was interesting you bring that up. The designers, especially Frank and Alex, like they've talked about the game several times publicly, um, and they've mentioned they wanted to kind of introduce things in the game that incentivized high pilot skill more than it was. Um, and maybe I guess that they thought they may have overdone it, but the game went from maybe you have one or two aces and a bunch of low scrubs to all aces because of the phantoms and the fat Hans that were everywhere. And I'm thinking now we'll start to see that balance. We're still going to see a lot of swarms. We're going to see probably quite a few aces lists. I think we're going to see more mixed pilot skill lists than we ever have before. Lists that have a 2 and maybe a 3 and a 4 and then something really high like an 8, as opposed to Echo or Whisper at PS9 and then a bunch of TIE fighters.
So another thing that really drove people away from the low pilot skill actually came out at the same time as the Phantoms. It's Predator.
Predator, right.
Because Predator scared everybody so bad. Oh my gosh, they're going to get 2 free rerolls against all my pilot skill 1 and 2 ships. But maybe it's that we didn't see very many generics during that time period. You never really saw that get used all that much. You would see, most of the time when somebody's firing with Predator, they're only re-rolling 1 die, and they only need 1 die to re-roll. Because most of the time you're going to roll 3 dice and get 2 hits or a hit and a focus, and you're not going to want to re-roll the focus because you've got a focus that you're going to spend and you want to guarantee the damage. So it could be useful. It gets you some extra assistance when you roll that rare complete blank attack, but it wasn't that big of a game changer. Still, between that and the Phantoms, you did see a lot less of the low pilot skill generic guys, and the ones that you did see, the players had to be very, very disciplined about how they use them and keep them together as a swarm to be able to say, okay, you can shoot down one of them, but I'm still going to have 4 more to shoot right back at you.
I played a lot of Swarm, especially through last summer. Is like I've always preferred to play Empire, but if I want to win, I gotta play Rebels. And I did pretty well last year with the 6-ship Rebel Swarm BXX Triple Z, and I really just think it was because of just the innate defense of having that many hit points. You cleared a Z95. That's all right. I got 5 more shots. Trader armor. Not only that, but it made mid pilot skill ships a thing that you have to plan to play as both higher pilot skill and lower. But that's a good point too. It's Paul Hebert after he won his first world championship, he was saying it's like most of the ships you're going to see are PS3 or lower. So he liked PS4 to 5, so he threw those daggers on his list. And then a year later, after he won a second store championship, the Phantom makes that irrelevant. Don't spend extra points when you can buy extra ships. And I really, with the new change to Phantom, I really want to see more fill the pilot skill range. Pilot skill, like, if I play a tournament, I should see at least 1 ship of every pilot skill, and that hasn't been the case. I played at 2 store championships. I know a lot of guys. James here, he won one, he TO'd another. It's a minor change. It's gonna have a big impact.
So one thing, I hate to keep fact-checking you tonight, but...
please. You know better than me. I'm just talking.
Well, you were talking about Paul Hebert winning another store championship.
Another fucking world championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of difference of scale. I'd hate to have him come down here and say that you slighted his honor, so he's going to personally melt every one of your ships.
Yeah, so sorry, Paul. You're the man. I love your articles. I'm kind of just talking to Phil Time as the player. They're moving pretty slow. These B-wings piloted by Dan up here, they're inching up the board, and as Chad's TIE fighters are turning in. I did notice while we were talking about this, there's a mix of asteroids and debris fields in there. We didn't see that in the last game. Another thing in the new fact is it made debris fields legal. We were talking about this during the first match. I didn't see who placed them. Here we go. Echo is going to spend her cloak token at the start of the activation phase to take a bank left. And then these TIE fighters are going somewhere. 2 straight, gonna coast between that rock and that debris field. First couple of turns of every game are interesting. We got to find some other things to chat about. But
so that being said, there was some interesting discussion today on the Fantasy Flight forums about what other types of obstacles players might want to see, as we've got the mixture of asteroids and debris fields now. So I'd be interested to see what some of our viewers think as far as new obstacle tokens to bring into the game.
if you could think of a terrain element to add to X-Wing, what would it be? Just shoot it out. We'll talk about it on the we'll talk about it live. I was reminded by the tabletop general here that you're seeing things several seconds after we say them. So if I talk a little fast, I apologize for that.
So looks like our B-wings are starting to turn to engage now, and it's interesting that he's taking hard turns with the B-wings. Like, it's almost like he knew that he wasn't going to get the engagement this turn.
He only banked there. Maybe he's planning to split the asteroid down there in the middle.
And that very well could be the case, but it looks like he was trying to cover a lot of angles to try and figure out where Echo was going to go.
Right.
And at the same time, he wanted to make sure that he was staying out of range of those Academy pilots no matter what they do.
Our good buddy Rydub is he talks a lot. He's saying like a nebula type or something that disrupts target locking or firing. If range 1 of a neb, you can't be target locked, or maybe if it obstructs you have to measure to acquire a target lock. Maybe if it obstructs your range ruler, you can't target lock. I don't know.
So, on that note, Rydub, you really do need to come down for our regionals, and I owe you a drink, because that is exactly the first thing that I suggested, was a nebula that disrupted target locks. I'd also like to see them disrupt target locks that are already in place. If you came too close to them, any target locks you had on the enemy or that the enemy had on you fell off. I would think that would be a interesting little tactical decision of, oh, they have fire control systems. Let me go hug this nebula.
If you're there, we probably have readers of the General's blog here. For a time we're running an RPG campaign based on X-Wing, and I wasn't a member of that, but I remember seeing a picture of like a city map, and that seemed like a lot of fun to play in. Like, can you talk about that for a second?
Right. So we did do a city battle as. I won't say our campaign concluded, but that was the last mission that we did. We kind of put things on hold for a little while. So that one was fun to figure out as far as what we were going to do with it. We essentially treated any sort of terrain like tree lines and parks and that sort of thing as a debris field, because it's possible you're going to run into a tree, but it's not like an asteroid that's actually going to really hit you. We did have some rules in place to say basically you had to stay below the tops of the buildings because anti-aircraft fire would knock you down otherwise, and we just treated the asteroids, the buildings, because you don't see asteroids in a city, as really big asteroids that you couldn't run over. So I had the buildings stop anyone's action, or sorry, not action, I'm getting all flustered now. I had them stop anyone's movement that would collide with them, and then I gave the players the option to let me, as the game master, turn their ship by the minimum amount needed to get them at a 90-degree angle to that building, so that they wouldn't hit that same building again the next turn, but they couldn't abuse it to get a perfect shot.
So that they couldn't hit a building with the intent of lining up deliberately.
Right.
That makes sense. All right. I mean, it's just the picture of it was really cool, which is mainly the reason I brought it up. But that was I would like to, maybe I'll run like an RPG scenario. I love the old Saga Edition Star Wars RPG, but I'll be the first to say that the space combat in that game is terrible. It's like it's more dominated by Sith Lords or like by Force users that are inside a ship than it is by the actual pilots that are flying ships around. Kelly Audia, that are you related to Dan by chance?
Yeah, that sounds really suspicious. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
Yeah, I feel like I never met you, but I feel like I know who you are also.
I mean, really, if you're gonna come in here and stuff the ballot box, so to say, you might pick somebody other than Kelly as your username here. Actually, that'd be really funny. So
right. Still, we're 16 minutes in, and they're still not close enough to fire. But
all right, what happened to these TIE fighters moving quickly?
I don't know. Dan he's put himself in a nice position to joust, but it really just depends on if Chad decides to engage or to turn away.
Right. So I see an interesting position here for Echo, and I almost feel like I can guess what he's going to do. I would like to see Echo decloak forward and to the right, and then
do a one turn.
One turn would be possible, but those B-wings have been moving awfully slow. I would like to see a 4K.
Flying K-turn on a named Phantom. That'd be exciting. You K-turn your Phantoms all the time.
Right. I K-turn the Sigmas constantly.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that bank. He's getting in there. He's going to be in a flanking position either way, but with a 1 hard, he may end up in the firing arcs of some of those B-wings, especially Blue Squadron 3. He doesn't have a whole lot of options for what he can do to not hit that asteroid moving forward, so I'm kind of picturing him banking towards Echo to begin with. The only real safe position that Echo can go into to stay away from the firing arcs of the Blue Squadrons is going to be to do that K-turn. And it's going to be really dangerous if he does end up in those firing arcs because of what we were talking about earlier, where Roark can boost up Blue Squadron 3 to PS12, and he'll be able to fire his 3-die attack against Echo's 2-evade dice, which is not going to work out very well for the Phantom.
Okay, minor note here, it's looking like Academy 2 is going to graze that asteroid.
Right, so we may see our first damage of the game here. Definitely seeing our first dice of the game.
There we go. That is a hit on Academy 2 from asteroid number 3. I don't know.
All right, so the asteroids are winning.
That's going to be it's fighting me on editing my text. There we go.
All right, so seeing some Blue Squadrons moving around here.
He's doing that bank exactly like you said.
Is it the bank or is it a hard turn?
It looks like a
no, it is a bank. It is a bank. I was confused when I saw that stress token out there. So sure enough, Echo is going to be trapped unless he did that 4K turn. Even then, he may not clear that firing arc. But
I feel like he can do a 2-turn and maybe barrel roll out. If he doesn't barrel roll, he's going to be stuck in range 1. I mean, if the barrel doesn't get him all the way out, he's going to be stuck in range 1.
Right. So I don't know. I've seen Chad flying the Sigma Squadrons. He has a little bit of the proper Phantom love in him. So I really think that he's got the chutzpah to put up a K-turn on there.
B-wing is gonna barrel roll and hoping to maintain arc on Echo.
Maybe we're talking about that K-turn a little too loud there. Let's try to keep it down now.
I don't think they can hear us, but we're not exactly in a soundproof room here. And they're only 3 feet away. They're on the other side of a wall.
So now Echo's going to be a lot better off if he did do that hard turn. Because he does not want to be at range 1 of that B-wing, especially if he's showing his rear end to it. But thanks to that barrel roll, if he did do the turn, he's going to slip out of that firing arc.
Okay, waiting on an action from Blue 1. That is it's going to be a focus. And where's Blue 2 going? I'm seeing maybe a 2 straight. 1 straight, 2 straight.
Well, he did something green because he's got a stress on him, and he does not want to go into that fight without an action.
Move this so it's a little more legible there. And we'll get the In a second here, we'll get the text back up at the top of the screen so you can see the score. But right now, everybody's still 100-100.
Alright, so we know Howl Runner's just going to bank into the middle of the pack. That's kind of obvious, but I've still got a mental drum roll going here, trying to see what Echo's going to do.
Get some links back up there. You go follow us on all your social media, Facebook, Twitter, all that crap. YouTube, I don't know, Twitch.
Interesting here. I think Roark's still at range of the Blue Squadron pilot for handing out that PS12. Is that
Roark's ability is 1 to 3, so it's yeah, he'll be absolutely fine. We got a lot of fans of Dan watching to I guess their brother duke it out with Chad here. There are quite a few Audias. I've seen a number of them on the local Facebook group.
Seriously, it seems like there's an Audi dealership around here somewhere.
Okay, where's
I'm sorry.
Chad is going to use advanced sensors to get a barrel roll.
That's going to get him closer to that B-wing. So if he did a K-turn, now he's forcing a collision, which keeps him safe from being shot.
I'm seeing the hard turn though. We'll see. I can't make out the dial.
It is a hard turn. It is.
Yep.
So it's interesting that Echo brought the advanced sensors because that's sort of recovering for the issues that you face now with having to commit to which way you are decloaking in advance, because with advanced sensors you can go ahead and correct with a barrel roll before you do your maneuver, but you're giving up your action to do so. You're not able to take a focus. You're not able to take a recloak if you get yourself in a bad situation still. You're not able to take an evade. So it's a trade-off. Plus, if you're running the advanced sensors, you're not running the sensor jammer, which is the only system upgrade that any respectable Phantom takes. But, you know, it seems like it's going to work out for him here because he's in a really good position now. And yes, right up, it does look like he did avoid all forward firing arcs with that maneuver. He can still be shot by Roark, but Roark can't boost himself, so Echo's going to get a chance to shoot and recloak before he can be shot at.
Looks like he made one of those B-wings pilot skill 12.
Right, so Blue Squadron 2 should be pilot skill 12 and is firing on one of the Academy pilots.
I'm pretty sure it's Academy 3. Maybe it was. Yeah, it was Academy 3 who spent a focus to cancel.
So
damage.
Looks. Yeah, we'll have to do a damage check on that. It's really hard for us to see the dice here. In fact, it's slightly harder for us to see than it is for you guys because we have to have all of our controls up on screen to control all the text and everything here, whereas you guys can go full screen and maybe zoom in just a little bit closer to be able to see the focus. Alright, so we're already down to the Academy's firing back on. Well, that can't be right. Maybe it's Howl Runner taking that shot. Either way, we've got some TIE fighters firing back on the Blue Squadrons.
Whoa,
yeah, that was Howl Runner first.
Like nothing happened. Alright, it's going to look. I'm going to guess range 2, but just barely.
I'm going to say range 1 on that one personally, but.
How many dice? How many dice? That's
look at that, range 1.
3 hits against Blue Squadron 2. That is. Looks like he's going to take 3 damage. On blue 2.
Alright. So I'm kind of confused as to what happened there because it looked like Chad rolled another 2-die attack, but I thought he had already attacked with Howl Runner.
Yeah, swarm tactics.
Oh, okay. So he swarm tactics up a Academy pilot. This it would be blasphemy for one of the commentators to actually check what the lists are on the screen.
I knew that.
Of course you knew that. You typed it in. I'm over here chatting my head off, or feeling like I am.
That's why I have you. You talk a lot, and I keep up with the computer.
I'm not sure how this arrangement worked out because I'm usually a computer guy, but it'll work. I'll have to mute the whole thing when I go back and watch this video later because I hate the sound of my own voice. And for those of you who haven't listened to it,
well, I hate my voice.
Okay.
You're sounding a lot smarter than me. Yeah.
I was about to say I'm going to leave you in here commentating solo.
Nah, dude. All right, I feel like somebody took damage there and I missed it. All right, Academy 1 is attacking Blue Squadron 2 for 2 hits.
Yeah, don't need Hell Runner in that case.
1 evade, 1 damage on Blue 2.
Now, I will say, Hell Runner has a new incarnation that I like a little bit more. So, Hell Runner's made an appearance in the new Star Wars Armada, and her ability there is not a reroll, but she actually adds an extra die to your pool when you're attacking with a swarm, I believe is how that works. That you have to have somebody engaged with your target already. So
that's a really convoluted rule.
Yeah, well, the TIE fighters in the Armada really focus off of swarm as it is.
Right.
They get a reroll innately if their target is already engaged with another enemy ship. But with Howl Runner, you add another die to that pool, so long as you're also able to get that swarm bonus, I believe is how it works. Granted, we've only had Armada for, a little over a week now, and we're still learning all the abilities there. So I could be completely misquoting that. Maybe Howl Runner blows up a Star Destroyer if she looks at it funny. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure she has an extra die to the pool. Anyway, enough about Armada. We might feature that at some point in the future, but for now we're back to X-Wing.
I will absolutely be featuring Armada sometime very soon. I wanted to let Armada mull a little bit so we can get our heads around the rules. I'm very until I might have somebody else in here talking with me.
That's all right. I'll handle that one. I mean, I don't mind showing off with it a little bit on the stream, but I feel like
the minis are very sexy, especially that Star Destroyer.
Oh yeah.
If anyone hasn't seen the Armada miniatures up close, they are very nice, especially the capital ships. Actually, only the capital ships. I can live without the tiny little squadrons, but like that Star Destroyer it looks very nice on a shelf by itself. But even if you were never to buy it for on the table, it looks very nice by itself on the shelf.
Although I will say, I'm really, really, really tempted to slide a couple of bucks Chad's way for my Star Destroyers, just because I really want to see some object source lighting on those engines. I mean, they just look like they should have a blue glow kind of washed over the back of the ship. And it's a perfect color for the engines that they've painted in there, but it's so stark, you don't see any sort of fading away from it.
So you want to simulate like the engines are creating a light source.
Exactly.
Trader armor. That sounds like exactly the kind of weird list I like to put on my stream. You don't happen to be in Atlanta local, do you? You're Soontir Fel and 2 Delta Defenders. I've been trying to find someone to play Defenders on the stream. I've also been trying to find someone to play Iman Azameen. We were going to have that lined up tonight, but he had to cancel earlier today.
And right up, if you're really looking for a Imperial Star Destroyer, I would recommend buying into the game because it's an awesome game. But the core set does not come with an Imperial Star Destroyer. The core set has a Victory Star Destroyer, a Nebulan B frigate, and a Corellian Corvette. The Imperial Star Destroyer will be arriving in late summer of this year, along with the Wave 2 releases.
I saw the stuff from Gamma, the promo art from Gamma. It is the Imperial class Star Destroyer costs $50. How big is that miniature?
It's gonna be
it's gonna be bigger than a Decimator. Like, it's gonna be big.
Well, it's going to be the largest of the size categories for Armada ships. I want to say that's somewhere around 192 millimeters long for the base itself, and if the victories are any indication, the model itself will extend over the end of the base. But again, I think we've got in enough on Armada at the moment. Let's get back to the action here.
We're just they were setting dials out, so we were kind of just filling time.
Right. Well, Echo is taking an interesting maneuver here to really get behind the enemy fleet with the bank in there. So unless those blue squadrons are going to do some very tight moves, again, that Phantom is going to be completely untouched this turn. I don't really see anybody having a good shot on that.
Chad, and also Chad has played TIE Fighter since Wave 1. If there's one guy who plays at FCB that I would say is the best blocker with their TIE Fighters, it's definitely Chad. He's gonna block up that B-wing in the front, and he's still gonna have 4 shots on either Roark or that other blue squadron in the next row. I love where he put Echo though. Like all those other ships have to move forward, so he's in a really nice flanking position. Maybe advance sensors to barrel roll and back up even more, and then like a 2 bank or something like that.
And since those academies all turned in, our blue squadron out here on the left side of the screen is sort of in a tough spot because he really isn't going to be able to get a shot unless he's going to barrel roll.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, here we go.
Yeah, there it is. I was surprised it took us so long to get to it. But yeah, he's in there, and he might end up with a shot on Howlrunner, but I'm seeing Howlrunner turn a little bit harder than that. Looks like his only shot's really going to be on Academy 2.
Academy 2 is... he's down a hull point because he clipped that rock last turn, so that might not be a terrible idea. Dead ship's a dead ship. Rydub, the defenders certainly have like kind of weird abilities. The you have to put Predator or some other way to reroll. But I have seen Rexler Brath do very, very terrible things. I've also seen games where his ability never triggers. But in a table next to me, he forced a Y-wing player to discard its ion cannon turret and a proton torpedo on the same attack. It's like 9 points of your list you spend on extra weapons that just go away. Bye bye. Actually, Lambot, who was one of the players here earlier, has a really effective double defender list. Or no, excuse me, it is a Rexler Brath list with double TIE fighters and don't remember maybe it's a shuttle or something. Anyway, he has it kitted out with a Predator and a heavy laser cannon to be able to save that focus for as long as possible.
So look at that, Blue Squadron comes in and bumps.
He wrapped around with those B-wings though. He's gonna have 2 really nice shots at Howlrunner, and then we'll see where he might not shoot Howlrunner, but that's I assume Howlrunner's gonna tuck into that formation, and then Roark is going to fly up and skirt the edge there. He's looks like range 2 of those TIE fighters, but Chad's probably more worried about those B-wings that are looking at him. Looks like measuring for a target lock on Howlrunner, and I think he's got it.
So let's take a look at this from each player's point of view at this point. Your B-wings have got a great field of fire over the Academy pilots and presumably over Howlrunner once he moves, or sorry, she, I don't want to anger any Howl Runner fans out there. So Howl Runner's obviously the best target. If you can't shoot Howl Runner for any reason, you want to go on Academy 2. Meanwhile, for the Imperials, Blue Squadron Pilot 2 is an obvious target because he's down to 3 hull, and you're going to want to clear a ship off the table if possible. However, he's also in base contact with some of those Academy pilots. Can't tell if it's one or both of those in front.
I believe it's only one. I think I see a space here, but it is hard to tell.
Right, but still, you're not going to be able to pour all of your fire on there. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what Chad chooses to focus fire on, and also whether he continues firing at the B-wings once he clears Blue Squadron 2, or if he switches targets and goes for Roark at some point.
Howl Runner takes a. Well, oh, there. He's using another token there to mark which ship he's using swarm tactics on.
Oh, right.
And then Roark is giving one of these B-wings a pilot skill 12. And then 4 looks like he evaded it. That was going to be on Howl Runner with a stealth device.
Right. I'm presuming that token there by Howl Runner is a focus, just because when you're rolling at least 4 evade dice, a focus is going to be more statistically likely to give you something than an evade will. Well, the evade is guaranteed, but you'll get more out of a focus.
It looks like Howl Runner is going to take that was a range. It's going to be range 2 on Roark Garnet. Two hits from Howl Runner, or 1 hit from Howl Runner, excuse me. 1 evade from Roark. And then range 2 from Academy 3, who's been swarm tactics fied. Reroll from Howl Runner and a focus for 2. And he's going to spend a focus to evade 1 and take a shield damage on Roark.
So that's interesting that Chad goes all out there with just going ahead and spending the focus tokens. And I guess it's because he expects, probably rightfully so, that all of the incoming fire that can be is going to put on Howl Runner. So those Academy pilots don't really need the focuses for defense. Okay. He can spend them at will and not have to worry about anything.
1 hit after focus from Echo on Roark. He was measuring there to see if he was within Howl Runner's range. Roark evaded. Echo, of course, gets a free cloak from Advanced Cloaking Device. And now we're going to see some B-wings.
So this is kind of where, again, it comes into play that you're seeing Echo run a little differently than normal, because if you're not going to run this sensor jammer, especially on the name pilots, a lot of times you're going to see that fire control system in that slot where he's got the advanced sensors.
I was mistaken. That's going to be an ion cannon shot from Roark on Howl Runner. He focused for 3 hits, and there's going to be 1 damage on Howl Runner, loss of a stealth device, and an ion token.
So that's definitely bad for the Imperials here, but it could be a lot worse. There's a lot of TIE fighters in the way that can be used to kind of block the B-wings in, to where they might be able to get shots on Howl Runner on the subsequent turn now that we know exactly where Howl Runner's going to be, but they're not going to be able to take the moves that they want to take to be able to get up close and personal with Howl Runner and actually get a kill shot. Not saying that she's safe next turn by any means, because she is at 2 hull with no stealth device, but
Blue Squadron 1 whiffs an attack. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. No sense in babbling on about next turn when we've got action going on this turn.
Wait.
Now it looks like we're going to Academy pilots.
Yes, Chad is. They're trying to see if. Wait. What happened to the? We should have 1 more B-wing shot.
Now keep in mind that we did have one B-wing that shot at PS12. That may be the one that you're missing here.
Right, okay.
So
That's going to be a damage card on Blue Squadron 2. How many is it? Looks like he pulled a crit. What's that crit? Munitions failure, automatic flip over, one hull left on number 29, or on the Blue Squadron 2.
Well, I think we might have just fixed that.
And blue 2 is out of the game. Here we go. I'm going to correct some of my screen text here. Dead. And cleanup phase. Looks like we're going back to dials.
So this is going to be a interesting turn for Echo, because I don't know where you go with Echo to make sure you've got a shot this turn. The safest place to decloak is going to be back and to the left, but a one hard from there, which is the tightest turn that Echo's going to be able to manage, if Roark keeps banking around, might not get Echo a shot this turn.
He can barrel to correct that to a certain degree, but I'm agreeing with you. I think Roark is going to turn away and try to avoid fire from that from Echo there.
I don't know if he can fit it.
Yeah.
But it would almost be interesting to see Echo go back and to the right and just barely skirt around that asteroid right in front of Blue Squadron 3, and then take a hard turn in there and be sitting right beside that B-wing and being able to fire into the fray and probably get a good shot on Blue Squadron 1. Plus, if he does that, he might end up blocking Blue Squadron 3 from being able to turn in and getting a shot on Howlrunner this turn, which is going to be most likely what Blue Squadron 3 is going to want to do. So if Chad sees this, and if it works, I can't exactly see what the exact board position is.
If that TIE Fighter, if Academy 1 wasn't sitting right there, I think that would certainly be possible. It's harder to say because that TIE Fighter's there.
I think it could be done, and I think that would be the optimum move here to take advantage of the new Phantom rules. But again, it's hard for us to see here exactly what a 2 bank would do and whether or not that would actually get Echo past that asteroid or not.
Well, it's obligatory welcome to those who've just tuned in. We have our highest count of the night thus far. We got 25 viewers. Really appreciate anyone who's taking the time to watch us play some X-Wing. I'm also going to take this moment to remind you we will be hosting a regional tournament here at FCB Games on May the 30th. You can, if you want to come to the tournament, you can register at our website, fcbcomicsandgames.com. But if you can't make it, you're too far away or what have you, we will be streaming the entire tournament live on Twitch, just like you're seeing right now. And we're planning to do some giveaways. We're going to give prize support's going to be great for the players, but we're going to give some stuff away to the viewers too, because we love you and we wouldn't be able to keep doing this if you didn't keep watching.
I don't know. Love's a strong word, but I at least like these guys.
Yeah, we're hanging out. We're watching the game that we all like. That's good.
I mean, you've spent more time with them than I have, but still, Love, really?
Yeah, fair point. Actually, they say some nice things about you while you play.
Okay, all right, then I love you guys too.
There were some people on the I mean, I'm sure you saw, like, the people on the forums that were asking you about your interceptors and double hawk situation. But we're not going to talk about that again.
All right. Just so that we know it's gone 100 to 0 both ways, and I'm licking my chops at the idea of a rematch.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that I have never beaten the tabletop general at X-wing. I'm not a great player by any means, and I don't claim to be. But he's tabled me with many different list types. Um, so I talk a big game, but my game's all psychological. I'm really not that great a player.
Yeah, see, I spend way too much time on this game. I want to get to the point where I'm actually making a living off of this.
Hey, Echo didn't decloak. Maybe
Interesting.
Maybe Chad forgot, but I'm seeing a TIE fighter doing a one turn, and Echo didn't move.
That's interesting. So that might be because of the new rules here. That might be because he didn't see a good place to decloak Echo, and he just needs to reposition and come back in for another attack run on the next turn.
He did come very close to that rock, so he's going to try to barrel roll around. He doesn't fit, though.
Yeah, he's trying to slide right in front of Roark, and I don't think it works.
Picking up a blank base just to see if it fits. I don't think he does.
If it does, he's a cheater.
If it does, he's a cheater. He's
That's
gonna barrel the other way, and then get in the way of the rest of his ships. Oh, but Howlrunner's doing Howlrunner's going one straight anyway. That's not a terrible decision, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that might stop Howlrunner short and leave it out of firing arcs of where those B-wings were expecting the TIE fighter to be.
Make the general take all hawks. I might win.
I don't know. So I ran a tournament a couple weeks ago at another shop where a relatively new player, I believe the young lady is maybe 16.
Yeah, she's a really nice little girl too.
Brought a 4 Rebel Hawk list that it didn't work out for her, but she was in the running in each and every game and was, 1 or 2 dice rolls away from going undefeated on the day. It was really impressive, and I kind of want to see what I could do with that at some point. I may have to bring that out every once in a while. It's not going to be as mean as the Scum Hawks, but there's still some synergy to be had in the 4 different Rebel Hawks.
I wish we could have a way to make the text fade out when somebody reaches their arm under it. That's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically possible, but that's just way too big a pain. Like, it's not worth trying to do. That's just like, it'll make the show look really professional, and it's just something that's not possible on the current rig we have going.
Yeah, I'm going to vote. Let's get a second monitor first before we do anything else.
You could talk to Bossman for that. I'm not asking him to buy another screen.
If we've got the cables in here, I've got a spare monitor. We might have to improve this setup a little bit.
Yeah, it was freak. It was hard enough for me to get him to mail off that ship that he promised that he would.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a misplay here. We forgot the new rules. So
that's Dan is a personable guy who allowed him to do it, but that is a cheat, according to the new Decloak rules.
Now, technically, we could say the earlier one was a cheat because the new rules don't go into place until the 15th of this month.
I mean, yeah, that's a fair point too. And in fact, the next time we do a stream, it'll be on the 15th.
But at the same time, this was a match that we intended to show off those new rules, so I was pretty sure we were going to end up playing by them.
Other people have made mistakes. It's like, even last week I was playing against Nick and we were doing our shots out of order. It was bad. Like, I rewatched the video. It's like,
oh yeah,
I made positioning mistakes also, but it's like just.
Yeah,
we had 3 different pilot skills of Z95s, and we're like, oh, they're all PS2s, right? Yeah, oh, no, wait, no, they're not.
Yeah, I had the fortune to do some of the commentary on that game.
Yeah, and
oh, look at this. Roark Garnet is on an asteroid. This is...
He does still get to buff one of his buddies, but he will not get to fire this turn. And here's no damage on Roark.
But yeah, going back to that game from 2 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of doing some of the commentary on it, and let's just say we cut you guys a little bit of slack, and at the same time made fun of you just a little bit.
No, I heard. I watched them. I mean, some of the things you had to say were really helpful, honestly. But there was mistakes were made on both sides. To be perfectly frank.
Sorry.
It was an easy game for me, but I didn't play a perfect game by a long shot. Yeah, Trader Armor, we were totally right, and Dan is a nice guy who let Chad make that correction because it wasn't gonna change anything really. Like moving away like he did, he wasn't gonna block anybody. Roark measuring to his B-wings. Looks like Blue Squad, I think, is gonna be.
Yeah, Blue Squadron 3 is getting bumped up, and it looks
Academy 3 is going to get bumped up to pilot skill 8. The Giant Killer, I appreciate you you saying that. We're always looking to improve our show. Okay, looks like Blue Squad 3 is shooting Echo. It's going to be 3 dice versus 2. 1 hit. And
I see ink. That looks like an evade.
That is an evade. Oh, it was a focus that he spent. So.
Well, right, but he does have that recon specialist, so he had 2 of them available.
And fire control system. Blue 3 reacquires a target lock. It looks like it's going to be Howl Runner against Blue 1. Checking range here. Going to be range 1 and a whiff from Howl Runner. Now Academy 3 is going to take, I'm going to guess, range 2 on Roark Garnet. Whiff again. Oh, a reroll from Howl Runner. And that's a hit. And an
not for
evade
long,
from Roark. Now another, or Chad's last shot. I'm going to, looks like he's going to, he just indicated range 2 to Roark. Yep.
So that's not that surprising of a choice in that he's not going to be able to clear a B-wing this turn.
4 hits. I think I see 2 evades after focus, so that's 2 damage onto Roark. He has 2 hull remaining. And now we're going to see we're going to see a Blue Squadron 1 is going to shoot somebody, I think.
Right, so he should have a range 1 shot on Howl Runner.
And if he does,
unmodified, but he does have a target lock from the previous turn of fire. So that's still 4 dice for the target lock. It seems like the right thing to do. I mean, I guess you might throw it at a Academy pilot just to see if you can clear it before it shoots. But
yeah, Howl Runner is at 2 hull and has lost a stealth device. Two of the academies are at 2 hull also. If neither one is a better shot than Howl Runner in that case, I'd say.
Right, because Howl Runner, you've got the target lock, and also you have the benefit of being able to clear out Howl Runner before that Academy shoots to reduce the quality of that shot, and that's going to be close to doing it. That looks like 4 hits.
4 hits. He's got to get 3 or die.
I see 2.
And Howl Runner's out.
Nope. There he goes.
And then he would reacquire that target lock, but he.
Well, he target locks on a debris
lock
field.
A dead ship. Yep. And let me fix this here. Howl Runner is DAED.
So that's a big swing here. That's the first Imperial ship to be pulled off the table here, and it's probably the most important in the list as far as how the list works as, in synergy. It's still going to be really hard to pin down Echo, especially with 1 B-wing already down. And looks like we've got a Academy pilot putting a crit on something. I'm not sure what that attack was.
He rolled 2 evades, so I think it's Roark.
Yeah, it has to be Roark.
And then another shot onto Roark.
It looks like he's getting ready to roll a
looks
die
like
there.
It's a rock there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure one hull left remaining on order. We're gonna double check everything once this attack resolves, but.
Okay, so he might have just. Oh, they forgot the asteroid was there on the previous attack, so now he's pulling that crit back off most likely, because he didn't roll enough dice, and it looks like that one there is the extra, and it did come up with an evade.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we're not going to stop the game here, but one thing to take note of, because the players did kind of take their time on the approach, we are at...
Yeah, they missed the extra die from the asteroid. You're right.
Okay, so as I was saying, we are at the 55.5-minute mark here. If this was a tournament game, they would have time for one more turn at the most. And with the Blue Squadron pilot down with a fire control system, that's 24 points. Then Howl Runner with stealth device and swarm tactics, that comes up to about 22 or somewhere around in there, maybe 23. How many points is swarm tactics?
Swarm tactics is 2.
Okay, so Howl Runner should be worth 23.
20, yeah.
So that means that the Imperials are currently up by 1 point.
That'd be the closest modified win I've ever seen.
Right. Well, what I was going to say there is, if this was a tournament match, it would seriously behoove the Rebel player here to
focus a ship out.
Right. Focus down one Academy pilot. Forget about chasing the Phantom. Get an Academy pilot out of there, because you need that to pull out the win, and it's going to be much easier to do that in one turn, especially when you've got them both at 2 hull, than it would be to catch and kill Echo. But since this is not a tournament match, and we're not planning on stopping it at the 60-minute mark, unless my comrade says otherwise, then I wasn't aware of it.
I'll only stop them if they go like 100 minutes. Like generally I like to let it play out.
So in that case, I think at this point for the Rebel player, you've really got to try to catch Echo now, while you have 3 ships to do it with, because number one, you've got to have Roark and a B-wing to be able to shoot before he gets to use his advanced cloaking device on his shot. But also, you've just got to be able to catch him in a firing arc. And if you're down to 1 ship, Chad's too smart of a player to let Echo get caught out in the open.
Right up rooting for Chad. We got an Imperial enthusiast in the audience.
Can you blame him? They're pretty.
They are. They are very pretty. Just tossing the stress out on Roark there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about.
Taking a long time to get dial. Yeah, I'm gonna see what's going on.
Ah, okay. So that's our explanation. So last turn, Roark did a 3 bank when he overlapped that asteroid.
He did a 3 bank that was a stressful maneuver.
Right. So because that was a 3 bank, he put the stress on there posthumously. He probably would have done it at the time, but he was distracted by the fact that he overlapped the asteroid.
He didn't get action anyway.
Exactly. But he does need to remember that now for this turn, so that he can do a green maneuver, clear his stress, and be able to take actions, or not do another 3 bank. And I don't know exactly what legal move Chad would have him do that would actually be bad. I mean, maybe a bank to overlap that rock again or something, but all in all, there's not a whole lot of wild and crazy stuff on that Hawk dial. The worst he could do is just kind of make him drift lazily out of the fight. Whoop-de.
I mean, if he did a 1 straight, he'd still be on the rock. So it's like, if I had a chance to change his dial, that's what I would do. Or even like maybe a 1 bank the other way, probably almost definitely would too. So.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, he gets him out of range and pointed in the wrong direction. It'll be about 3 days before that Hawk gets back into the fight at that range.
The only thing that turns worse than a Hawk is a shuttle.
Debatable. You see engine upgrades on the shuttles.
Yeah. I mean, and people do that around here, but the engine upgrade seems to be way more popular elsewhere than it is in this town.
All right, so we
getting
did remember the rules properly on Echo this time, and we're turning back and to Echo's right,
yeah.
players left. So that screams I'm going to take a one hard back to Echo's left all over it to slide in right behind Blue Squadron 3.
WM Miranda 13, he actually remembered to decloak the correct way a little while ago. And then there was the intermittent turn where he did it wrong. But he started the game fine. Okay, we got some TIE fighters doing TIE fighter things. That's 4K from Academy 2. Academy 3 just kind of banked lazily, maybe trying to block Roark, sticking back on that rock. Academy 2 crosses an asteroid and hits another. The first damage that Academy 2 took was also from an asteroid.
I'm telling you, asteroids are going to win this game.
That's what I'm seeing. It's one hull on Academy 2 due to asteroids. Academy 1's going somewhere, but I can't see. It's going to be a one turn to his right.
Not sure exactly what's going on here with the scatter drill TIE fighters. Looks like he's the one trying to catch a Phantom in arc.
Yeah, maybe just trying to catch something. TIE fighter, he's blocking is what I'm seeing.
Oh yeah, and he's doing a wonderful job of it.
TIE fighters can damage B-wings. Their TIE fighters can't hit much of anything in the hyper agile meta, but that 2 dice can put damage on B-wing. But yeah, I'm seeing Academy 1 moved to block that B-wing, and I think Academy 3 is trying to block Roar.
You know, as popular as the TIE Fighter Swarm has been for forever, you really only see 2 types of TIE Fighter lists. You see Howlrunner with a bunch of academies, or you see a sort of pseudo-named swarm where you're going to see somebody like Mauler Mythal, somebody like Dark Curse, and maybe Backstabber in just sort of a zoo setup of a little bit of everything in there. I would love to see a second Imperial Aces set that just brought in like some new TIE Fighter pilots, just to kind of mix things up and give you more options.
For a little while around last spring or last winter really, right after Wave 3, I was playing the Sinister Six a lot, the 6 named TIE fighters, and a lot of them have really utilitarian abilities. They're TIE fighters, and players like their cheap TIE fighters, so they ignore a lot of them. But like, I love Night Beast gets a free focus token. Really, like, but besides Howlrunner, I'd probably say that Dark Curse is the most popular one. But you do see him around some occasionally.
I mean, you're talking about the Academy pilots being able to punch through damage to a B-wing. You roll in there with Mauler Mythal, and he's hitting as hard as an X-wing or a B-wing himself.
He is. He's a little bit more fragile than an X-wing, but if he can maintain range 1 with a 1 turn and a barrel roll, it's often not even that hard to do.
So it looks like Roark is taking a target lock on the Academy pilot back behind him. Now let's see what Echo's doing.
Kind of an interesting choice there when he could have target locked the one that he can shoot. Well, I guess maybe if he still determined he was in range 2, then Academy Pilot 2 would be dead from that ion turret.
It's sheer guesswork. He has to do it blindly. He doesn't know until after he's declared that he's trying to take a target lock on Academy 2 what range he's
in, absolutely.
So Echo does do the 1 hard, and look at that. He's right behind Blue Squadron number 3, just like we kind of supposed he would be. And he's going to be there for a great shot on really either one of the Blue Squadron pilots. He's probably at range 1 of both of them.
They're both undamaged unless we miss something along the way. So either one is a fine target. We're going Blue Squadron 1 against Academy 3.
Looks like 1 hit.
He was pushed up via Roark Garnet's ability, by the way. Now we're going to see Echo firing at Blue 3 right in front of him.
So Ride-Up says he thinks that we're going to get some new TIE Fighter pilots as part of the new Episode 7 stuff. I don't know if you guys got the memo or not. If you'll go out and check the Fantasy Flight website, the new announcement today is Wave 7 is going to be all based off of Episode 1, not Episode 7. So we're going to see the Naboo Starfighters come out, and oh, no, that announcement doesn't come out till tomorrow. So my bad. We're going to wait till April 2nd for that announcement. Sorry.
You should see how many people fall for that on your blog, James. I'm gonna be honest with you, like I don't have much higher opinions of the prequels than most people, but I think there are some legitimately cool ships in the game, like in the prequel movies, and that would make some cool miniatures. Like, sure, the stories are kind of terrible, the cast is awful except for Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor, who are basically asleep in the movies, but there are some legitimately cool ships.
I can just see it now. Of course, we get Anakin in the Naboo N1, but we're bound to get Jar Jar in there.
You see, they are.
Misa gonna do a barrel roll.
Yeah. What would somebody pitch Jar Jar's crew member ability? Go ahead, shoot.
Action. Take a crit.
Okay, he measured to the Academy pilot. They decided he was out of range, so Roark is going to take a shot onto Academy number 3 and spend a focus for 2 hits. I'm seeing a lot of paint. Yeah, so that's no damage on Academy 3. We're going to get Blue Squadron 3. Is you're gonna shoot Academy 3, I think. That's what they indicated. It's gonna be 1 hit.
So Ride-Up says Jar Jar roll
Academy
a die
1,
for a random maneuver from your dial. That would actually be an interesting. Oh no, I'm in a bad situation. Let me take another maneuver now kind of ability. But with it being Jar Jar, it is thematic that you don't choose which one it is.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Alright, I think we missed something. Blue Academy 2 onto Blue Squadron 3 whiff. Academy 3 onto Roark Garnet. Focus for 3 hits.
That could do it.
It could. The 2 evades.
He got lucky there.
Yeah, squeeze through with 1 damage to hull. So Roark is still in the fight. Actually, on a thread pitching new damage cards, your roll a die for your random maneuver. It reminded me, like, a really interesting one to me. This is just players shooting the crap. Damage stabilizer. Take a 2 bank left and roll a die for every asteroid you hit, or something like that. This is like, I don't know. Your ship takes a wild, uncontrollable arc, and then if you run into stuff, you take damage. Seemed interesting.
That would be hilarious for Lambot, who likes to hug that table edge.
He does. Oh, oops. Well, that sucks. You may only make barrel roll actions if you are in enemy arc. All right. I dig it. Actually, I had a weird thought about what Obi-Wan Kenobi's pilot ability would be, and it's in Episode 3 at the very beginning when he gets in trouble and Anakin saves him. If a ship is assigned distress, you may select a ship at range 1 to 2 to give him a free action. They'll probably word that more eloquently, but kind of a interesting action economy boost there, I think. I don't know. Yet again, we're just trying to find words to fill time while they set their dials.
So let's look at this. We're setting up again, and we're hoping that Chad remembers to do Echo at the right part of the initiative order here. What do we think that Echo's going to do this turn? I'm kind of picturing, again, a back and to the right around that asteroid, and then a bank in, or a hard turn in, kind of following in behind those blue squadrons. But you also might see him swing out to the left and turn. Yeah. The thing is, if he goes out to the left, depending on what the blue squadrons do, he might end up being in firing arcs. If he goes out to the right, which would be to the left on the screen, we would end up in a situation where the only way he could be shot at is to K-turn,
he is going to go to his
and
right.
he is going that way.
I actually think that's safe, because if you look, like, Blue 3, if Blue 3 were to K-turn, which would put Echo in arc right there, he'd be on rock.
Right, and that right there is exactly what I wanted to see him do last turn, but, you know, it works out here. He's going to be almost completely safe no matter what happens.
All right, we're going to have a 3-speed Senor's loop from the Academy pilot. Oh, wait, what? Sorry. No, just a little... Anyway.
Oh, yeah, there's Jar Jar's crew ability.
There's from Academy Pilot 1. Or
so,
Pilot 3.
Jar Jar Binks says, your K-turns and S-loops are now straight, but on every other maneuver you do, you change direction at the end of it. That's Jar Jar's pilot ability right there.
That'd be really annoying. Oh, the asteroid Decloak was the best way to... Yeah, I mean, I'm liking where Chad landed his Echo there. I mean, because he certainly could have moved away and turned, but then if Blue Squadron K-turned, he'd be in arc at long range. So if Chad were to do a 1-turn right here, I think he'd be pretty safe.
Well, again, that kind of shows us what difference it makes to have these rules in place, because he's taking the safe maneuver out of the available options, whereas if you're playing under the old rules for the Decloak, you can wait and see, and you might have a safe opportunity to take the aggressive move, whereas here he's taken just the safest move available, and we don't know if it's going to turn into an aggressive move or not. It probably will be in this situation because, well, it's a B-wing. It ain't going far. But it's still, it might not get him a range 1 shot.
Phantoms don't need to be a range 1 of a B-wing to do damage.
No, but
that's what, it's like the biggest weakness to like the B-wing swarm is a good Phantom pilot. It's like a B-wing is a really good knife fighter, except when you're Phantom, you go anywhere you want. But
that barrel's never going to fit right there.
No.
Wishful thinking on Dan's part.
Negative. I like this trick that Chad has, is keep a spare empty base nearby though. Dan's thinking...
Swapping his target lock is his action.
Moving his target lock to Academy 3.
Now, is this going to be a bank and then a barrel? Oh, sorry, a bank or a straight then barrel roll?
I'm seeing a barrel roll, yeah. Just making out with that asteroid.
Now, if he barrel rolls to the bottom left of the table,
yeah.
If he comes towards Blue Squadron, I think it's Blue Squadron 1. Yeah, sorry, labels are a little hard to read when you've got that one selected. But if he comes towards Blue Squadron 1, he'll have better choices for shots and not be in the Academy's arc. But
see, if he goes
that may be...
Yeah, I think he's still got Academy 2 there.
Oh, yeah. But if he goes the other way, Academy 2 gets the shot on him. But because he came this way, I think Echo's going to be right behind him. I'm kind of smelling a too hard this turn.
And Roark Garnet is going to turn around that asteroid. It's going to unfortunately put him right in front of Academy 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chad saw that coming because Roark has to stay close to those B-wings to make this list work.
Rydub, I agree with your assessment there. He's saying the Phantom's completely fine after the change, and the change to the Phantom is not a nerf. The change to the Phantom, it's just a change in the way it works, and it makes it more like what you think a blinking ship might do along the way, but it's just different. Like it's still really good, absolutely. Like I'm not going to argue with that at all.
All right, so look at here. So Echo slides right in behind Blue Squadron 3,
and now he gets to take a double focus with his recon specialist, whereas had Blue Squadron 3 barrel rolled the other way, Echo still could have gotten a shot, but he would have had to do a barrel roll to do it, so he wouldn't have the focus to actually help modify the shot.
And that, if he rolls 5 hits, he can clear Blue Squadron 3 this turn. I think Dan's probably considering which Blue Squadron he wants to make Pilot Skill 12. He's going to go with Blue Squadron 3.
Probably the wise choice, just in case something lands on Blue Squadron 3, like a blinded pilot, or if he does get just completely blown away. It makes sense to go ahead and get the shot now.
Checking Arc to Academy 1. I'm not sure why. The Academy 1's untouched. The Academy 2 has 1 hull left, so I would take the opportunistic shot either way, even if Academy 1 was an Arc. Looks like range 2 from Blue 3 to Academy number 2.
So I think they determined that closest point's coming through the asteroids because he rolled an extra die there.
Looks like hitting a crit, and did he evade? I think he did.
I suppose so. He swept those dice up really quickly and got ready for his next defense and didn't reach for damage cards.
Academy 2 would be out if he took damage. Alright, he lays those 5 red dice out, about to lay some hurt with Echo.
Yeah, they look intimidating.
Yep, Echo to Blue 3.
Looks like 4 hits
from Echo. I can't see it. That, I'm pretty sure Blue 3's out. We're going to see how it goes. Yep, he's taking Blue 3 off the table. I think Dan's probably thinking about who to shoot with Roark or Blue Squadron. So yeah, he's deciding which of the TIE fighters is the best target. He's really been wanting to shoot Academy 2 because it only has 1 hull left, but hasn't worked out for him thus far. And it's funny because Academy 2 has evaded every shot that's been taken against him. He has 2 hull damage because he hit asteroids.
I still say the asteroids are going to win this game. The debris fields will be in second place.
Looks like an ion cannon shot from Roark onto Academy number 1. Focus for 3 hits. And I think he got it. Oh no, that is it's going to be an ion token on Academy 1.
Yep.
And then Blue Squadron 1 is taking a shot on Academy number 3 for 2 hits. There's a bunch of evades. I think he
spent the focus to evade. Yeah.
Yeah.
So having hit Academy 1 with the ion cannon is actually probably a really dangerous thing for Roark, because with Academy 1 drifting forward, we know that Roark's not going to be able to do a 1 forward. So that means
he can just turn away. If he does a 2 turn to his left,
oh,
unless he dies right now from Academy 1.
That could do it.
So we were having fun with our speculation there, but Academy 1 was able to clean up Roark Garnet. All right, let's give me a score update here. I got 36 from the academies plus. All right, 30, 33,
well, we're
36.
minus 21 from Hellrunner. Or sorry, not 21, 23.
Oh, so it's most of it. Minus 20. You're doing math faster. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get the. Now the game is almost over, and we can actually see the top of the screen. I'm gonna put the score back up at the top here.
So we've got a blue squadron with fire control system. That makes for 24.
Plus 24 is 48. Plus.
No, we've got 24 points left.
Yeah.
Because we've just got the one blue squadron.
Listen, you and your math. See, I can do math. I just don't always do math the smart way. And then put that back up. There we go.
We can probably take the marker off of Roark Garnet's.
No, it's Roark's ghost will live on in that spot.
Actually sounds like a cool name for a NPC like cruiser or something to bring into an RPG campaign. Roark's Ghost.
Roark's Ghost. Any? They can't see that. But let's have get rid of that red thing there. Okay, when we've broken an hour and 20 minutes here. It's actually in the rules. A tournament round is 75 minutes. We usually play hour-long rounds around here because we get a lot of players. But we're over a normal tournament round by 6 minutes now. It would have had to been Chad with the win. I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. Oh, and it looks like B-wing is on top of that debris cloud.
Right, but that's not as bad as it has been before. He's going to take a stress, which means no actions. And then he's going to roll for a crit, but he can still shoot. And if he rolls a hit on this die, he doesn't take it. It's only a crit.
Mike Fields, you want to try Sigmas with Stygium? You should talk to my buddy. The tabletop general up here, he is very familiar with that build.
2 Sigmas with the Stygium particle accelerators and the sensor jammer upgrade. Put a intelligence agent on one of them, put Mara Jade on the other, and then fully load out Carner Jax and just stick him in the middle and chuckle. It does wonders.
Yeah, it's beaten me 3 times. I don't like it. I even tried to play it once and I lost. I was just like, all right. So it's a list that I can't crack.
Alright, so this B-wing is kind of in rough shape. I'm a little surprised that Chad's trying for the barrel roll here. But I guess maybe he'd have room to turn hard and avoid the debris field, or maybe Academy 2 just says, well, the asteroids haven't killed me yet, I might as well give the debris fields a shot. Mike Fields, I do have a little bit of video on the Carner Jax and 2 Sigma Squadron pilots. It's definitely not at its best. I think the only one that we've got available on it is where Brendan came back for revenge after he figured out how it worked and kicked the living daylights out of it. But it is out there. And I could probably be talked into bringing it out again for a encore performance, but it's not quite as strong as it used to be now that Scum has come out.
Scum just have a lot of counters to everything that list does.
Right. I mean, the Warthogs do a very good job of rolling attack after attack to eventually punch through the defense of the Phantoms, and the feedback arrays and Carner Jax don't get along.
All right, we're going to see some dice rolling here. We got range 1 from Echo on Blue Squadron 1. Looks like he's going to focus for 4 hits. Can't tell. Looks like he got 1 evade. It's going to be 3 damage on Blue 1.
Yeah, Blue 1's
untouched, though, so it's...
Yeah, but he's going to be in this turn.
Yeah, he is.
he's going to get a shot, but it's going to be on somebody that's not shooting him anyway, and it's going to be through the debris field most likely.
Debris fields still obstruct shots as normal, correct?
Yes, they are just like any other obstacle as far as that's concerned.
The whiff his attack. He's going to spend his target lock to reroll everything. One hit from the target lock.
And it is through the field, and it looks like 1 evade.
1 evade.
Telling you that Blue Squadron pilot is in trouble. He's already stressed.
I think he's out of range from Academy 3, though.
Yes, but what we have to look at is the Blue Squadron pilot is already stressed. He's going to have to go through that debris field again next turn and take a second stress to do it. He's going to potentially take a crit in the process. Because the B-wing's hard 1s are red, he can't do that. So his only option to change his facing really is going to be a hard 2 white maneuver. If he wants to clear his stress, he's going to have to do a 1 forward or a 1 bank, in which case he's not actually going to be pointing at anything and be able to shoot at anything. So he's going to be down actions for a couple of turns now, and that's going to potentially wipe him off the map here.
And Academy 2 just took a shot at the back of Blue Squadron, dealt two damage. It put a crit onto his hull. It was a minor explosion that came up a focus result, so it didn't add any extra damage. But what happened there? Somehow.
Yeah, you keep changing that font. I don't know if you're using the
I
scroll
don't
wheel
understand.
or.
Yeah, it must be this, because I think that's what it is. Because I keep trying to scroll down to edit the text and it won't let me. Anyway.
Yeah, like I said, that B-wing is in a bad way here. There's no way for him to get actions and a shot.
If I, you know,
truthfully, there may not be a way for him to get a shot, period, depending on what Academy 1 does. If Academy 1, say, does a 2 hard to the left back towards Chad, then Blue Squadron 1 doesn't get to shoot this turn. So at this point, it's really on Chad just to go ahead and finish this game. Sorry to the audio army.
What half of the audience that were watching, like, they were saying they don't even like him anyway. Sorry, Dan. We love you. But here I am again throwing out words of fondness. But Academy pilot is going to take 2 hard.
Yeah, he just really didn't want to get in those asteroids.
Yeah.
And he sets up for a K turn on the next turn for a shot. Because like I said, that Blue Squadron doesn't have a whole lot of options other than just to roll forward for a couple of turns.
He's inevitably gonna get another stress. He's gonna hit that rocket, or he's gonna hit that debris field again. Correcting there because they bumped the Blue Squad when Chad moved.
You know, if Chad really wants to be nasty here, he can take a 1 hard turn with the Academy and block the Blue Squadron on there.
Oh, but Chad's taking the 3K.
Okay, so he's playing nice. He's saying, okay, you can shoot me this turn. No actions, but you can shoot me.
But if it survives, he's taking 5. It's possible, but I seriously doubt that Academy 1 is going to die from the 1 shot from the B-wing without an action. Could be wrong.
So look at this. He decides he wanted to
rather
evac the
maintain
area.
arc than clear stress out. So now he's going to have 2 stress and have to roll another damage. L. Mike Fields, we appreciate the compliments and thanks for tuning in. All right, looked like a normal hit result. It's not going to be not going to put any damage on additional damage on the B-wings. It has to be a crit result.
So we completely forgot Echo again, didn't we, this turn?
Yeah.
Or did he not?
Echo? I don't think Echo was cloaked.
Okay, that's interesting. Why would we not cloaked last turn? We're forgetting all kinds of stuff on Echo.
Maybe he didn't choose. I don't know.
So he ran right across that debris field, which means Echo's going to take a stress. Looks like Echo might have just taken a damage. I'm guessing that's the first shield off of Echo.
Echo is as yet undamaged.
It's not looking good, but Dan's got some fresh life here.
Did Echo take damage? He He did. He rolled a crit and took a shield on Echo. That's going to be the thing we make fun of Chad for this game, is he flew Echo across the debris field because he seemingly forgot to recloak.
So he didn't fly the Decimator off the board this time, but he did fly the Echo out of the fight, and that's just about as bad.
Okay, that look.
And
Academy 2 just got duped by Blue Squadron 1.
Like I said, fresh life here for Dan.
And then, so that this one should be 65.
Yeah, we can't trigger the Imperial March yet. We've still got some fighting to do here.
Echo is taking the equivalent of a pre-victory lap. Those never end well.
Oh, that one did it, though.
Yeah, it's a TIE Fighter shot from Academy 3 onto Blue Squadron for the game. Congratulations, Chad. I'm applauding you because you didn't blow up 76 of your own points this time. All right, clear some of this crap off the screen. Okay, I'm going to give them a minute to clean up, but I'm going to have them back in here in just a second. I'm going to get Dan first. He's the new guy. We always like to poke fun at the new guy before we do other things. Where's the face cam? Yeah, give me 2 minutes and I'll get our players in here. That's Dan's giant head kind of blocking our stream. And we got some. Looks like they were playing Armada earlier. Now they're playing Imperial Assault back there behind them with a Lambot. But yeah, let me go see if Dan wants to have a chat. You can roll this one.
This is intimidating.
Don't be too intimidated.
Have a seat.
Okay, we got 23 people talking. Dan was just saying how he's intimidated by by his viewers. So feel free to make him feel as uncomfortable as you can. This thing, by the way, this is our internet cable. So in order to stream, I have to have this just dangling across the office because that's the kind of.
They have Prodigy here.
It's internet from the sky, Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet, I like it.
Just went on live today.
It's not the HoloNet, it's Skynet. But Dan, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
First timer.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been doing it that long, but a lot of the guys are regular, so I like to put new people on when I can. You got a lot of fans. The other Audias were on the stream making fun of you.
I checked my phone after the game. I had 21 text messages. So
Nice.
yeah.
First of all, it's the new rules of the Phantom. But if you were to see this list in a vacuum, Phantom and some TIE fighters, what are you thinking? Especially with the one of the other Audias were saying they've beaten them with this list before.
Yes, typically I playing the Phantom, I'd like to focus fire on it, and I like the pilot skill 12 that Roark gives, but it's still pretty difficult to concentrate fire, but always make sure that somebody's pointed toward the Phantom. And so I thought with the shields that I had on the B-wings that I could withstand some fire from the Phantom while I worked on the TIE fighters, and I spread damage around on them, but couldn't take any of them out until the very end there. So
the Academy number, I don't know what numbers you were using, but there was one Academy that took 2 damage from an asteroid, and then he evaded like 3 shots.
Yes,
so using one hull for half the
game. Yeah. And I'm glad I took out Howl Runner. That helped, I think, the game last a little bit longer. But as much as I come in wanting to focus fire on that Phantom, it's a little more difficult to do.
Your game it ran long. We were right about 90 minutes, and that's fine. We keep track just for shade.
Okay.
But, so what we were talking about the first game. The Rebel Hawks they're designed solely for support, and they're not too aggressive, and it's like, and it's hard to fit support ships in the 100-point game.
Right.
What are you thinking when you go to a tournament with this list? How does Roark help you? Why do you pick the B-wings over X, etc.? It's like, how does Roark help the B-wings, I guess?
Roark is my best, has been in the past when I've used it appropriately, the best counter to the Phantom, based on the fact that I can fire first.
Right.
And actually, I played Chad at Gigabytes one night. He was running nearly the same list. I was running a Hawk 2 B-wings with heavy laser cannon, and he flew basically the Phantom on one side of the board and the TIE fighters on the other side. So I just turned toward the Phantom, and his mistake that game was flying them too far apart. This game, he kept them closer together to where he could circle around a little bit better and get out of my firing arcs. But I took the Phantom out in that game that I played in before in 2 rounds, and heavy laser cannon helps big time when you elevate somebody to pilot skill 12, and that Phantom's an arc. So, yeah, I like that. Somebody was talking on the message boards this week with the new rules of the Phantom. Brings it down a little bit, makes it a little more, I guess, fair is what they were saying.
In line with what it costs.
Yes.
But it also I think it pushes up the power of the lower spot. Like James here, the tabletop general, he loves to play Sigma Squadron.
Right.
They're even better now than they were before.
Yeah. So
James is still standing here. He's right out of frame.
Yeah. So I
I'd like to be on camera.
my thought has always been you got to beat Phantoms with pilot skill or stress, or both preferably. Do
you think with the new rules that's still going to be the goal, or like will there be a more versatile Phantom on the table instead of VIACD all the time?
No, I think it'll still be veteran instincts and things like that, especially with the advanced sensors as well, just because if they do see they are going to bump, they can just take the action beforehand. You're still rolling 4 to 5 attack dice even if you run into ships.
Everybody keeps saying nerf, but it's still really good.
Yeah,
it's still 4 dice.
It's the 4 dice that's killer, and even still, even though it decloaks at the beginning of the activation phase, you still have to figure out a way to try and get all of your fire pointed toward it if you hope to take it out, as quickly as you'd like when a ship's rolling that many attack dice.
So if you were, would you change anything? Having lost the chance, is there something else you wish you did, or would you?
Yes. First thing is round 1 all of fire. I didn't use fire control systems. I didn't take the assigned target locks after my first round of fire. And with the way my red dice were going, that hurt me big time. Just maybe that initial firing would have been better, than the second round would have been better as well with those target locks. So that's what I'm kicking myself for, but it's just a game, so at the end of the day. But no, I like the list I have. Maybe a change I would make is take a little bit off of Roark to put advanced sensors on each of the B-wings. Perhaps that would work a little bit better. And I was surprised at how long Roark lasts, because I thought for sure he's going to go down within the first few rounds because they'll concentrate fire on him. And so I was like, I felt pretty comfortable if I had.
There's a funny little thing with support in this game, because support's not a threat.
Right.
So you're in the other thing, in the last game, Brendan focused on Cavill first, and we kept saying, we're talking to the screen, shoot at Paylob.
Yeah.
It's because he causes a lot more problems than Cavill does. Cavill's where all your damage is, but
right.
Not without Paylob. You know what I mean?
Right. And I guess Chad was trying to get rid of that pilot skill 12 just to get him out of the way.
From the Hawk is because the Rebel ones have been characteristically very weak.
Yeah.
And generally, you played a good game, because it was you had some dice issues, but you could have won this game. It could have gone either way.
Yeah. Thanks.
James, you got a question?
So I had one and it just left me. One point that I want to make, just following up on the fact that you were really close in this game, we looked at it at about the 55-minute mark, so you guys would have had maybe one turn left at that point. And after you had popped Howl Runner, you'd lost a B-wing, you were down by 1 point.
1 point at 55 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you were in a tournament match and you knew that, okay, the time has been called, we've got 5 minutes left, I know I'm only going to get in a couple more turns, you could have probably just focused down a TIE fighter and squeaked out a win there.
Okay.
And it made for a really close match. One thing that we noticed going through the game was that, just not being familiar with it, there were a couple of times where Echo was not decloaking at the appropriate time and should have decloaked at the beginning of the activation phase.
Right.
So that kind of gave a unique view of how the turn went a little differently each time based on whether you were using the new rules or the old rules. Do you think it made any difference to you to see Echo decloak one way or the other? Did you ever, on those turns where it was forgotten until later on, where you saw Echo decloak and you wanted to say to yourself, man, I wish I had known that, I would have done something differently?
Yes, and I've found a way to get a Hawk, Kean Farlander, and 2 other B-wings into the same list. So a very similar list, maybe a little bit weaker as far as the stuff that each ship can do. But with stay on target on Kean Farlander, that would help big time, against that list, because seeing, okay, which way he's decloaking, that narrows down the movements that I think he can make, and so I can switch my maneuver to, accordingly.
You're always focused.
So yes.
You can't always guarantee both of that.
Right.
Both of those.
So, and I can elevate him to pilot skill 12 and, be in pretty good shape there. I've thought about a list, but it would have to be just a Hawk and 2 B-wings, but 10 num and Kean Farlander, 10 num with the Mangler cannon, always getting a critical damage through, could help as well. So if I could maybe run that list and make sure it is only 3 ships, but make sure that somebody's always pointing at that Phantom. But that's what somebody was on the message boards was saying, is that, okay, yeah, the Phantoms didn't win every time, but everybody had to account for them in almost every list that you built. It's just,
I think they're high agility. They can move in amazing ways, but they're only 4 hit points, and it's like,
right.
And evade dice will fail them initially. You keep bringing up heavy laser cannon. Phantoms hate heavy laser cannon.
Right.
It's like, and if you can, even cheap ships that don't beat them on pilot skill, like if you can keep them in arc by spreading arcs out with those 4 dice attacks, like it'll fold eventually. Like it only, you can get one damage through at a time on 3 or 4 attacks. Like you kill the Phantom.
Right.
Like and that's what the game seems to be moving. Like it's been a really defensive meta for a while, and now it's getting really offensive with, especially in the Scum, a lot of ways to get 4 dice attacks.
Right.
But all right, closing remarks. If you were, I don't know, where are you going now? Are you going to be at our regional tournament?
Maybe it's a full day commitment. I've got a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. I'm sorry, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. So
That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, my wife and I. So she let me come and play in the store championship at Gigabytes, and she even stopped by and saw us. So that was great. But it's hard to take a full day away from them. So we'll see. I'll see how it goes. And just got a new job today, so thank you. So that may be a way of saying, hey, can I celebrate a little bit since I'm kind of making this transition or whatnot. But anyway, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I feel like even every time I lose, which has been often lately, I've still become a better player. And yeah, look forward to keep playing.
You always learn.
So
right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out, dude.
Yep.
If you, I'd be happy to have you on again. And,
Did anybody give me a nickname on there?
Not yet. I can't remember what the other Audis were saying, but some of them weren't. It was kind of rude.
Yes, yeah.
But,
youngest of 4 kids
yet.
here. So.
The guy who, it's usually one person. His tag is Soul Crusher X, who gives everybody a nickname.
Okay.
And I didn't see him today, so it's
okay.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, have a good night.
You can call me Rookie until then, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Grab chat. Yeah, how many viewers? We still have 21 people watching after the game's over. That makes me happy. I am gonna just throw this out there. Me and Chad and I will probably play a game after this, but it won't be commentated or any of that. We'll just throw up another game on the stream. You want to play another game after this? Sure. You got time? Yeah. So, but yeah, have a seat. You can hold this or whatever. Okay. So we've been talking about Hawks all night. It's a
sure,
thing. Like,
I'm sure you have.
You see a Hawk on the other table. What are you thinking? It's a Rebel Hawk too.
A Rebel Hawk?
Yeah. Like Roark.
So I played Dan with Roark before, and I really don't like it because it lets one of those B-wings shoot before my Phantom, which is something that Phantom players just don't like.
They really don't.
And playing the new version of the Phantom with the new Decloak, I was really worried that it was going to be way easier to catch it. Um, so yes, Rorik I like really as a rebel list or as a rebel guy. So I was gonna go after him first, and then he like turned and cut up behind all the B-wings, and so I couldn't quite catch him with ideal shots. So I had to wait a turn or two, and then he just wouldn't die. He just kept evading stuff. I threw a TIE fighter at him, he just didn't evaded two of them. I was like, what other Hawks are there? There's Janors.
Yeah, Jan Orr's the one that takes a stress to add an attack die to a buddy, and then Kyle Katarn can pass around a focus. Interesting thing. I don't know what number you had. We called him Academy Pilot number 2.
Okay.
He took 2 damage from asteroids, but his evades were on fire. So did you what were you this?
Yeah, no,
I know it's frustrating to run over rocks. Like, what was going on with just the one TIE fighter that was always in the outside of the turn, always hitting the asteroid?
So, So the first turn, I did not anticipate him actually hitting a rock. I thought it would clear, and then it didn't. But I wasn't really too worried about it because he was in the back, and and he had Howl Runner for boosting, which I totally forgot round 1. If anyone caught that, and then I guess the second one, I don't remember him hitting a second rock. I know
Are you sure?
I know it.
Because I think he did.
One of them I know hit.
Yeah, we got video. I'm gonna make fun of you tomorrow.
One of them hit a rock because I realized he could just take it. He had he was still at full, and I was just like, all right, I'll be okay here. Yeah, but I think that was the only one.
I just had another question. Go for it.
Last 2 turns of the game, what was going on with Echo? Did we forget to recloak?
Yeah.
Or
it was okay. So yeah. So I totally forgot to recloak, and I was like, I'm not gonna go back and do it. Like we had kind of been really forgiving in the beginning, and then I was just like, no, you know what? Like that was my own fault. I should not have done that. And then the B-wing, I think at that point was like down to 2 hits or 3 hits left, and I was like, I think academies can take him on at this point, and then so I just decided to turn away instead of take the stress and just barrel through the debris field. So he did a lot less K-turns than I thought that game. Like I was really worried that he was going to K-turn with some of this stuff, and like that opening move he had with a B-wing, I thought he actually caught me because I did that's why I had to do advanced sensors barrel roll and then a 1 hard in order to avoid the arc. But I thought he got me there.
I was really pulling for a K-turn out of you there. You did the decloak that I thought, but I thought you might do a K-turn to try to slip behind him, and then he did that barrel roll, and I thought he had you dead to rights.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I thought he had me too, but which would have been game over for the Phantom.
Yeah. We just mentioned it with Dan at 55 minutes. He was down a B-wing at for 24 points, and you were down a 23-point Howl Runner. You would have had if the game played out like it was, and he didn't clear another ship, you would have had the win. But what were you thinking right there when Howl Runner was your first ship to clear? That happens a lot.
Right.
But then your TIE fighters kind of had to scatter. What were you thinking there? Like you were surrounded by B-wings and no Howl Runner.
So after Howl Runner dies, the little guys become straight up blockers and extra hits if I can get them in there, and then they just try to go to range 1. Mostly at that point it was avoiding that 1 rock in the middle. I had to barrel roll and do 1 hards to get away. But yeah, as soon as Howl Runner died, the TIEs lose a lot of effectiveness, and I mean I usually count on Howl Runner dying first anyways. That's why I kind of like that list where it has the double threat.
You gave the stealth device.
Right.
But it has the joust and the dodge.
Right.
Situation.
So the list is designed so that you have Echo and then you have the TIE Swarm, and you have to choose one you gotta go after.
Yeah, you have to pick one to chase.
And so that's what I really like to play, where it's you have to make your opponent kind of choose one. I was really worried in the beginning though that he was just gonna chase Echo, because I played a similar game with him where I had Obsidians instead of Academies, and there was no advanced sensors on Echo and no stealth device on Howl Runner, and so it was a little. He blew away the Phantom in 2 turns, and I was really worried about that, and I was really worried that was going to happen again.
He mentioned that you had played him before.
Yeah, and so that's why I was really scared to like throw him out there. I tried to hang him back a little bit. I could have engaged earlier, but I just chose not to because I was worried he's going to have all 3 B-wings at 1 Phantom, and that's a situation
That's
I
how
do not
Phantoms
want.
die,
Yeah.
We got a viewer question here from the Giant Killer. Did you have an easy time adjusting to the new Phantom? Is it your first time playing the new rules? We saw you did it at the wrong time once.
Yeah.
Was it twice?
Yeah, some.